for example, is a severed foot submerged in a vial of semen a pie? Apparently it is, and she loved it. With that, we have now unlocked a new ingredient slot, which will allow us to make more potent food going forward.
Hi. Today we're going to be watching some more Reggie. Specifically, how he used obesity to conquer his enemies. Okay.
The gameplay of Warhammer 3 is an obvious allegory for America and its obesity crisis.
What?
You start as one of 437 different races and immediately begin killing everyone that looks even remotely different than you. Why? Because...
Well, isn't that basically any RDS?
Unless you're some kind of clown-shoed idiot, your short and long-term goal is world domination.
Well,
you can play as the humble humans. They're great if you have a low moral barometer and a sexual attraction to artillery pieces.
Artillery. Fuck that area.
But maybe you'd rather be an anemic sex criminal instead. The dwarves have you covered. And if all else fails, you can always play as a colony of Twitter users.
Ah yes, I was thoroughly educated on the Skaven from the last video. I learned more about Warpstone than I ever wanted to. Thank you.
Fascinating creatures. In reality, it doesn't matter which faction you choose, because much like a cocaine-infused stockbroker, you will inevitably develop an unhealthy relationship with watching numbers go up. Your borders can always be bigger, your income always higher, and of course, you can always accumulate more mass. In a world where there is a one-to-one correlation between your charge damage and your BMI, suddenly being morbidly obese has become the greatest superpower of all. And when it comes to being immensely fat, no one does it better than Grom the Paunch.
Okay, hold on. I gotta read it. Let's see. Has access to Grom's Cauldron. Diplomatic relations, -80 with high elves. I like him already. Okay, he recruits goblins easier. Bunch of leadership, something that apparently the Skaven didn't have. I learned what leadership was. Physical resistance, yada. Okay.
This
big fat man.
Green mass of cholesterol is not only sentient, but he's one of the strongest units in the game. Men want to be him, women want to be with him, and today, I am him. Immediately upon loading, it became clear that I have entered my own personal hell, because I am surrounded on all sides by the French.
Oh no!
Jesus Christ, even the vampires are French. I solved this conundrum.
Wait, what? The vampires are French? What? Okay.
Through careful diplomacy, and by careful diplomacy, I mean I had an obese man drive over their heads in a chariot. With our first enemy fended off, we can now participate in the real gameplay, creating strange and elaborate mukbangs to help Grom on his personal mission.
What the? Is that a foot? Okay.
To tantalize the Vor community.
Oh my god.
Here, Grom is starving.
Starving Gobbo.
We're going to need to make some food. To do this, we need to acquire several obscure ingredients from around the world, which will almost certainly necessitate the eradication of countless civilizations, but their sacrifice is one I am willing to make. Our goal is to create and consume all foods, at which point our purpose in life will be complete. And
wait, hold on. What did it say? Physiological safety, love, belonging, esteem, obesity. I see. Okay.
And Grom can die peacefully from a convulsion-inducing heart attack. For now, the easiest way to collect ingredients is to just kill everyone we eat and sort out the tasty parts later. To accomplish this, I have launched a brave and courageous eugenics program, whereby whenever a French...
I mean, we already had that with the Skaven. How does this one work?
Army spawns, I kill it immediately. My fringe scientific beliefs eventually led me to Bordelot, where we were ambushed by a large quantity of Frenchmen. In such moments, the game will try to gaslight you into believing you're at risk of losing. Allow me to show you why this is literally impossible.
Show me.
As Greenskins, you have a wide selection of characters, buttons, and settings, but only one of them is actually worth pressing, because when your total lack of brain activity inevitably causes you to start...
Is lightning fall? Okay, what? Okay, I'm gonna assume that's mage shenanigans.
Losing a battle, I want you to slam your forehead through
break in case of emergency.
And press this button.
Okay,
the
what is
WA
it?
button instantly buffs your entire army and heals it for 50% of its health.
Wait, why did they get the WA button? Isn't that like an orc thing? Or do these guys also get it? Because it's technically goblins, I guess? Isn't that what faction it is? Because I don't see no orcs, I just see goblins, and its power is Hungry Gobbo, so...
With such immense power, we can effectively neglect any tactical decision-making and instead focus on meaningful gameplay decisions.
So, He's unga bungaing, huh? Okay. I approve.
Decisions such as using a homeless lady to vomit on unsuspecting peasants.
Oh my god, it's a spitter from Left 4 Dead.
A quest by a decapitated head, which my psychiatrist assures me is not normal.
Okay.
Regardless, after completing said quest, we were rewarded with a stone golem, which is definitely not overpowered to have on turn 4. After that, we invaded Castle Bordelot and successfully renovated it into a heaping pile of shit. Understandably upset by this, our French enemies launched one final assault on us, armed with Odo and 39 people he found at the bus stop. This was a poor decision on their part.
I can
the rapid
see.
Expansion of our
why would the AI actually attack you with that few?
Empire had regrettably drawn the attention of the greater francophone hive mind, which caused the Fey Enchantress to declare war on us. She attacked us with an army of mounted knights.
French?
However, we have the perfect and most dangerous counter to cavalry, a 15-degree incline. The very concept of a non-uniform Earth caused her cavalry to absolutely lose their minds and enter a profound state of psychosis. In response, I did the only humane thing possible, which was to complete an industrial amount of mercy killing.
What are these things?
With the Fey Enchantress now defeated, it is time to break several international treaties by ingesting our enemies. It's around this time people...
You can... Okay. Now I know that the Skaven technically ate a bunch of people when they were capturing settlements, from what I saw. But these guys apparently have a separate skill just for this. Okay.
You don't know will start paying you extortion money you didn't ask for. By this point, our reputation had increased enough to allow us to press the only other button that matters in the game, call to Wa. By pressing this, we can designate a city to destroy and double the size of all of our armies for 20 turns. If Grom was a car, this would be the equivalent of not only uninstalling his brakes, but replacing them with another acceleration pedal. I chose Castle Carcassonne as our
Yeah, but... Okay, so it just gives you double the amount of army? That seems balanced. What? Dedicate to Mork or Gork? Oh my. I'm gonna guess that gives different bonuses too. But still, I assume the call to Wa is hard to actually activate.
Target and plowed Grom into it at 300 miles per hour. Needless to say, there were no survivors.
Yeah, no
this was the last of our enemies' territories, which effectively rendered them homeless. And in this game, much like in real life, for every turn you are homeless, you slowly but noticeably decompose a little more. But Grom does not care, because I just realized the Wood Elves have invaded Paravent. And little did they know, I had already developed a parasocial relationship with that exact settlement, and their invasion of it unofficially and then officially meant war. With our army still shoved up from our favorite button, I decided to invade the Wood Elf territories. Fighting the Wood Elves is a lot like fighting the Viet Cong. You're going to be shot by people you can't see.
Holy shit! Yeah, I was gonna say, like, when the tree starts speaking elf. Jesus.
Rational fear of trees, and then experience PTSD for the rest of your life. It's a dirty job, but someone has to do it.
Well, to be fair, the life of a gobbo is not that long, so it's not that bad. Probably? Maybe?
Because they're dangerous. I mean, would you really trust your kids around this man? I didn't think so. We marched right into their capital and began our siege. I deployed my army in no particular order, but still managed to crush the Wood Elves under the weight of 8,000 goblins.
Holy shit!
Oh, and we also
that is a lot of goblins.
They really didn't like that. I would occupy the settlement, but it's just so goddamn disgusting. I decided to leave and never come back. But
I guess it's just uninhabitable to you. Okay, cool. Okay, explain what this is.
We collected 8 ingredients. A good start, but we still have a lot of work to do.
These are... No, hold up. What the fuck did that say? Fried squirrelfish. What? Flying gubbins, fishy chunks, spider egg yolk. What in the world? Misty mountain broth. Okay. Bugman's battered ribs. I see. I still see that foot over there. Please explain.
Fortunately, a food merchant appeared on the map to help us
Hag
out.
merchant.
There's a couple of ways to interact with the food merchant. For example, we can buy ingredients from her, offer her for money, or cook food for her in exchange for upgrades to our cauldron. I chose the last option. However, the food merchant speaks exclusively in some kind of goblin.
I see. Wait, why would you cook for her So she gives you more ingredients. So you're using ingredients to get more ingredients that you can't no longer use? You want something with flying gubbins. Okay.
Ebonics, which makes it just about impossible to decipher what the fuck she is actually saying. But we can deal with that later. We have more important things to tend to. A man we don't know explained he wants to kill us. Ikid is still paying us money to leave him alone. And the most French man to have ever lived declared war on us.
I don't know if that's the more French man.
Playing Grand Blanche is effectively an exercise in resistance. The rest of the world is staging a violent intervention to prevent us from eating ourselves into a diabetic coma, and we must resist. To this effect, I hired a new commander, Gorebirds, and gave him an army. I put Gorebirds in charge of the
now we got orcs.
Watch, which meant that roughly once every 5 turns, he would see Orion and subsequently beat him to death for trying to leave the enchanted forest. This worked very well, and it allowed Grom to plow northward, eventually.
So we're just keeping the elves in their little area forever until we can annihilate them. Cool. I approve. Also, what the... Is that the Super Frenchman? Yes, it is. Yes, that is the Super Frenchman.
Actually defeating Luan in a series of battles that could only be described as unethical. By this point, we had effectively converted the French countryside into something vaguely resembling Canada. But there's still one issue. Quebec. What? I declared war on the undead and began ransacking their armies. I'd like to say it is very difficult to kill a ghost with a catapult, but not impossible, with most of Bretonia now thoroughly under our control.
With enough firepower, you can kill anything. Okay.
I decided to do 2 very important things. First, I researched a revolutionary artillery platform that allows me to dress my goblins up like cute little trick-or-treaters. Look at him. He thinks he's a bat.
Do you shoot goblins? Wait, you can aim it manually?
Because they have pledged fealty to the Empire of the Rising Sun, and the next thing we're doing is launching them from a catapult as kamikaze dive bombers.
Oh my god!
Because after all, why bother buying explosives when you can be the explosive?
Now that is some proper orky shit. Alright, cool. But can you actually aim the things like manually? Is it just this, or can you aim other like catapulty artillery manually? Because I saw the reticle. Is it possible to like control them manually like that, or is it just...
From this, I sent one of my armies out to explore the wonderful and enchanting ocean
Mysterious
in search of
Island.
Delicious aquatic ingredients.
Okay, hold on. Hard shell crab.
And they were killed immediately by Somali pirates. This didn't upset me as much as it caused me to fly into a blind rage and immediately begin building the most immoral army possible.
Wait, even... Okay, we've seen quite a few things so far. Enlighten me what the most immoral army is.
An effort to punish the world for my misfortune. 11 Snotling pump wagons and 8 trebuchets. Don't mind if I do. To be clear, I don't even want to play this army, because microing 11 cavalry units requires a level of attention that I am simply not capable of. You see, my brain is powered by a single Nigerian man running on a hamster wheel, and I fear that managing this army may in fact result in his death. But we'll never be able to achieve our dream of congestive heart failure if we aren't willing to make a few sacrifices.
Just able to run units over.
With our French enemies now lying in various stages of decomposition, I took a few turns to figure out our place in the world, which is apparently 22nd. That's right, we're not even on the podium, but we can fix that with one simple trick. Another call to Wa. By literally doubling our standing military, we've gone from rank 22 to rank 3.
Okay, like, again, please explain to me how this is viable. Like, do other factions have something like this? Because frankly, just doubling your army seems a bit, OP. But I don't know. I haven't played.
This is troubling because it means there are 2 other factions that are more than twice as powerful as us. Regardless, I can't risk our food quest being jeopardized by a larger faction, so we have to become the larger faction.
Wait, we'll see who's the fool. Perhaps a more humble approach. Humble? Nonsense. Never humble with the orcs. Well, greenskins. Never. Ever.
Faction, which means that some people need to die. If you recall, about 20 turns ago, the dwarves body-shamed Grom pretty viciously, and
nice.
That shit doesn't fly around here, so we're going to go stab them to death with spears. I declared their capital city as the target of our Wa and began assembling my armies. I decided it might be beneficial to have a path into the Dwarven Mountains, and the only one available was through the Wood Elves. So I opted to kill Orion and take his fancy little treehouse.
Wait, didn't you do that until now? Were you just, like, beating him up every time he came out? Why didn't you... Alright. Cool.
Fortunately, this caused Findal to become scared, and he declared war on us. I know who that is, so we killed him, which resulted in Daith becoming frightened and declaring war on us. So we killed him too. But then Durthu got upset, so we had to kill him, which caused both Ellen and Eltharion to get upset. But unfortunately, we haven't researched intercontinental ballistic.
What? Is that an actual thing? Or is he fucking with me?
Missiles, so we'll kill them later. By the end of it, I had personally slaughtered 10,079 people just to get to the dwarves.
Whoa!
If I was a dwarf, I would be mildly concerned by that statistic.
I would too.
Gorst certainly was, because he attempted to befriend me by donating 300 gold. Obviously, I accepted and then declared war on him immediately after.
Perfect. I see they're doing the civilization level of
I just really need a test subject for the meme team. So I invaded his settlement. Honestly, the army is beautiful in a Francisco Goya kind.
That is okay. That is just a lot of catapults. What? From what I read on the comments on the other video, you're supposed to have like mixed things. This is just catapults. What?
Way. 11 squadrons of deranged mushroom enthusiasts being supported by 24 catapults. It's all I've ever wanted. The game plan is to entangle the pump wagons with the enemy forces and cause a large-scale traffic jam in the middle of the map.
And then just artillery them to death?
The pump wagons will call in an artistic strike on their own position, thus obliterating everything in the process. Needless to say, this was very entertaining to witness. This is such a fucking stupid army.
I'm sorry, are they flapping around as they go through the...
pelting them with mini-fridge-sized rocks, we had managed to kill 1,812 enemies. They had managed to kill 34, seemingly not at all demoralized
Greenskins,
by
that is
losing
ridiculous.
a battle with a casualty ratio of 53-1. Hellman kept attacking us. You'd think his original defeat would have taught him a lesson, but some people,
I don't think he looks like learning.
Lesson over
Are those bats?
and over and over.
Whoa!
Eventually, we managed to send Hellman to the retirement home in the sky when Grom broke every bone in his body by hitting him with a car. That was a fun distraction.
Okay, that's an answer if you can run people over.
With direct access to the Dwarven Mountains, I was able to send Gorebirds to Karak Izor and Karak Bufdar to claim them for my food empire.
What wonderful names.
I even managed to find a new ingredient.
Stunty Ale. Nothing better for numbing pain. The drunk stunties me bash for would agree. I see. There's still that freaking foot. What is that?
In the process, the main Dwarven army was actually located to the south at Maragliano, where they were busy harassing my Skaven submissive. I sent Gorebirds down there to sort things out. Their army actually looked a little intimidating because they have Apache attack helicopters, but unfortunately for them, we have people who are willing to destroy their helicopters by launching themselves headfirst into the propellers. After
that weapon seems very fun to use. That's like, shit, what was it? Was it an Unreal Tournament? I think it was Unreal Tournament that had the Redeemer. I think that's what it was called. The missile that you could actually guide, like, targeting-wise, through the map to hit whatever or whoever you wanted. I remember that was a very, like, unique thing that it had compared to Quake 3 at the time, so...
A little more careful deployment.
Nope. Cooperate.
Who are willing to destroy their helicopters by launching themselves headfirst into the propellers. After a little more careful diplomacy, we managed to defeat the dwarf army.
Flamethrower diplomacy, perfect.
Of their military and 3 of their largest cities caused them to drop from strength rank 15 to rank 103, and we went all the way up to rank 2. Very cool.
That still means there's someone above you.
I stumbled across another food merchant with a substantially less cryptic food request. She wants a pie. I can do that. The only issue is we don't really have any conventional pie ingredients. So
I don't think you have conventional ingredients, period. You have various cuts of meat from things that are not supposed to be cuts of meat. And a foot. Please, enlighten me.
So we're going to have to push the theoretical boundaries on what exactly it means to be a pie.
Well, that has been a discussion for a long, long time. And I am not opening that can of worms.
For example, is a severed foot submerged in a vial of semen a pie? Apparently it is, and she loved it. With that, we have now unlocked a new ingredient slot, which will allow us to make more potent food going forward.
Oh my god, what? The fuck? Okay. Okay.
Example, we can combine monster goo with troll meat and phoenix claws to produce the following. Grom gets 100 weapon damage and sundering attacks. Our goblins get a regeneration ability as well as flaming arrows, and our trolls get sexually transmitted diseases.
Monstrous disease!
Now with 12 foods, I think it's time to conduct our ingredient.
Wait, are those just permanent buffs? Holy crap, okay.
Hunt in a more deliberate
manner. Just get stronger and stronger as the game goes on.
Actually tells us how to get them. For example, to unlock harpy heads, we have to sack a dark elf settlement. That doesn't sound too hard until you realize the closest dark elf settlement is across the fucking ocean.
So, question, I saw this something like this in the other video we saw with Skaven. Is the position of where the whatever faction spawns random, or do they have a certain spawn place? Because several times, like, people have been across the ocean, and I don't know if that is always the case, or if it's just in this specific instance, like in Civ, for example, when you can spawn in random places, or is it pre-made?
So at this point, the game turns into a scavenger hunt, but with substantially more violence. I figure the best approach to this would...
Hold on. I don't know what kind of scavenger hunts... I mean, it could be violence. I remember in college, there was we had a scavenger hunt for... I don't remember what it was anymore, but basically they hid a bunch of bricks in certain places, like gold-plated bricks, I think it was, like something like that. And you had to search for them. And yeah, it was not very peaceful if several people and or groups found one at the same time.
Be to divide and conquer, so I've elected 3 generals to lead the expedition to the grocery store that is this world. First,
the grocery store.
Spiderclaw. He's a unique lord that provides special buffs to spider.
Okay, so he's Spooderman, okay.
Based units in his army. So I equipped him with a highly diverse army of goblins, goblins riding spiders, and goblins riding really big spiders.
Oh my god.
Can also summon additional smaller spiders. Next,
I see, yes. He might have an affinity for spiders. I am not sure, but he may in fact like spiders.
We have Gorebirds. I've specialized him into providing buffs for trolls and giants, so his army is composed mostly of totally normal and socially well-adjusted individuals. Whoa. Then we have Oglok the Orrible, who is specialized in the use of weaponized pigs.
Okay.
Between these 3 geniuses, I feel very confident in our chances of tracking down the final ingredients.
Wait, again though, their army seemed very one-dimensional. Okay. Show me if this actually works.
But first, I need to steal 30 seconds of your time to coerce you into developing a caffeine addiction. I've recently struck up a partnership with GamerSups, which is a company that sells delicious energy supplements and 100% socially acceptable receptacles to put them in. In fact, just last week, I went to an ultra-orthodox bar mitzvah with a shaker cup full of titty milk. Everyone there was clearly jealous because they couldn't stop asking me questions such as, who are you? And how did you get in here? This level of popularity could be yours if only you are brave enough to wield a waifu cup to your next family gathering. If this interests you, I encourage you to visit the link on screen or in the pinned comment and use code Reggie for 10% off. Thank you, GamerSups. Now, let's get back to the video. While I was recruiting the units for my new army, I decided to start the scavenger hunt with Grom and Gorebirds. The first and easiest ingredient to find was goldfish. All I had to do was sack an Empire settlement. No problem. In fact, the Empire is really struggling in this
everywhere?
Game. Somehow they've become loosely subjugated by Vlad von Karstein, who is strength rank 4. This presented me with a unique dilemma. Our previous WAs have been successful, and they awarded me with a big trophy.
Whoa, wait, the big Yumi's trophy. Is there a few men, yada yada? Okay.
Not the biggest trophy.
Oh, there's even more.
Could only be attained by defeating a top 10 enemy, such as Vlad von Karstein. I didn't need to declare war on him, but in a much more real way, I really wanted to. So in an act of wanton gluttony, I created a new WA targeting Vlad's capital city, and over the next 20 turns, Grom and Gorebirds carved their way through the Undead
black hole?
Vlad
yes, it
himself
is.
was an unkillable monstrosity who could best be described as a bipedal euthanasia factory. Fortunately for...
aren't like a lot of the heroes basically that? Or at least a lot of the combat-oriented ones from what I've seen? I mean, you basically said Grom is, your hero is basically unkillable on that stupid wagon.
us, he suffers from a crippling degree of separation anxiety, and if you kill all of his friends, he will literally disintegrate.
What?
Once we worked out that critical flaw, Grom was able to fight his way to Castle Drakenhof, which he claimed through the use of really big ladders and lots of violence.
Well,
by this point, the war
how you get most things.
Bisected the undead faction. As you can imagine, this was not good for the economy. In fact, the only units Vlad could afford to recruit were level 1 zombies. That being said, he could afford a lot of...
Holy shit. That is some totally accurate battle simulator shenanigans. This actually reminds me of like the Skaven Slave stuff he did last thing we watched. Okay.
Level 1 zombies.
That is a lot of them.
I know this because the next thing he did was attack me with 5,017 of them.
Whoa!
I would spend 20 minutes slowly chopping my way through thousands of undead, only to be greeted by enemy reinforcements have arrived, and the sight of thousands more on the horizon.
Well, it
There's
is zombies, so
traumatic about fighting an enemy that, despite being flattened, perforated, and impaled,
it doesn't give a shit.
Keeps on coming.
Yeah.
The only good thing about having to kill 5,000 people is that once you're done, apparently you get $17,000.
Whoa!
Anyway, with this victory, the vampire
that is a lot of money
to geopolitical obscurity, and I can now sleep at night because I have the biggest trophy. By this point, my recruiting was complete, so I decided to send Rachnik and Oglok to the far corners of the map to collect a few ingredients. Oglok would go to the jungles of the southeast to find lizard legs, winged leather, and Centigore milk.
Centigore milk, huh? I see. Okay. Cool. Moving on.
Nick, on the other hand, would be exploring the ocean in search of hard-shell crab, pufferfish, and harpy heads. Rachnik sailed successfully across the ocean,
half of those made sense.
Arriving in Lustria, where we sacked a pirate settlement to receive hard-shell crab. I attempted to kill Luther Harkon for additional ingredients,
I don't think that'll work, will it?
Realized that an army of funny green men on spiders was no match for an army of cannons. 5 turns later, Rachnik had been resurrected, and now with a slightly more responsible build, we sailed...
Okay, so I was right, and just one single thing does not work all that well, like people said in the comments from the other video. Okay, cool.
Up the coast to the Dark Elves and absolutely obliterated one of their settlements to gain
the Dark Elves.
Heads. I thought it would be kind of awkward to try and explain that I burnt their city to the ground for some sandwich meat, so instead I pretended to be a warmongering maniac.
Yes, the Gandhi stuff. It's funny that it actually came about from a freaking programming error. Well, you know, but still. It's nice that they embraced it later.
Feeding one of their armies, we also acquired a dragon tail. This is objectively the best ingredient if you are not just trying to defeat your enemies, but also psychologically destroy them. Because dragon tail makes all of your goblins fire explosive ammunition. Of course, this is perfectly balanced and not at all unfair when you have 12 stacks of archers. Apart from this, we also found the Sword of Cain.
That's like having just artillery everywhere. Also the Sword of Cain, huh? Like the god?
Apparently it's an immensely powerful weapon that slowly drives its wielder insane. So obviously, I had to have it.
Yeah, no shit.
This, Rachnik returned to the Maelstrom to exact his revenge upon the pirates. After a little bit of this, and a lot of that, he had his last ingredient.
Yeah, when everything you fire explodes.
I stumbled upon a hilariously awful dwarf army composed entirely of rock miners. I thought it would be kind...
What? Okay, wait, aren't those workers? At least what it sounds like. That's like in StarCraft if you've decided to just throw all your workers at the enemy. What?
Kind of ironic to kill them with rocks. So I did.
I see.
Say whatever you want about me, but I will literally kill 900
Thankfully, no one's that mean to me yet.
Smallest amount of observational humor, but that's beside the point. Let's see how Oglok is doing. You might think Rachnik had it hard being shot to death with cannons at the start of his food quest,
I doubt
Oglok had it even worse.
Okay,
what did he do? The first 5 turns of him being alive, he was attacked by ogres, contracted the plague, and the hospital he was recovering in was hit by several rocket barrages from ultra-nationalist humans. This
I see. What a delightful way to come into the world. Violence.
This resulted in the immediate death of about half of his army.
Oh, After recovering,
I sent him south to harvest ingredients from the lizard men, which was when this happened. Yeah, that's...
The Black Pyramid?
That's really not good. The Black Pyramid of Nagash has awakened, spawning 9 late-game armies that are hostile to everything, and especially to Oglok, who just happens to be like 50 feet away.
Oh,
but
no!
That's when I realized something. To unlock the milk ingredient, we have to kill a creature with 6 limbs. These Necrosphinx have 6 limbs. That's right, boys. We're gonna milk a Necrosphinx.
Ew!
I don't physically know how, but I do know we'll be needing some help. So I captured a settlement in the region and formed 2 new armies, led by Bladub Spidakilla and Gorf. Okay, we're just gonna call him Gorf. Anyway, the boys ambushed.
You know, I don't know if the names are randomly generated, but I know a few games that had issues with randomly generated names that had pre and suffixes. I think there was a big issue. I don't remember if it was. It was some action RPG. It wasn't Diablo 3. I don't remember. It was one of those. Was it Grim Dawn? Like, I don't know. It was one of those that ended up with some very, very bad names. Not on purpose, but it was still bad.
One of the skeleton armies, and after encircling it, we managed to milk the Necrosphinx. That is definitely not a euphemism for group masturbation. This was technically a success, but...
Well, I think it would take a group for something that big, but you know. Also, holy shit, what is this?
We had to use 5,500 people to do it, so I was still pretty frightened.
Holy
I opted
crap.
to ignore the end of the world and instead focus on attacking the lizard men. We needed to kill their stegodon for lizard legs and their pterodactyls for leather. This would normally...
Okay, so these at least make sense for what they give you. Like, in terms of ingredients, I guess, because that's what he's getting, right? Like, this makes sense. But then you have stuff like the Croxy, whatever the big thing is, milk. What? Okay.
Be difficult if we didn't have 9 stacks of black orcs, which are the objective best counter to every unit in the game.
Is it
Following
though?
this victory, we now have 23 out of 25 ingredients. All that's left is tentacles and lion meat.
So, a quick question. Can you keep using the ingredients after you've made something with them? Because I see that they don't go away. So, you can just keep making stuff with them? Interesting.
For the tentacles, we have to sack a Norscan settlement. Vikings? Meet
Why
12
them?
Catapults. Wow, they get along so well.
Yeah,
for the
wonderful.
Final ingredient,
But
we
why
just
them
need
for
to defeat
tentacles?
An army containing lions. The best I could find was
Elves?
this high elf doom
Yeah.
stack, so I drove Grom into it head.
That is one thing I know about the high elves, is the stupid fucking lions that are everywhere. And I know this because I played a little bit of the fantasy Warhammer MMO, the Warhammer one. I forget what exactly the name was. But it was so monumentally unbalanced that it basically died. It was really bad. Like the Order, which was like the Empire, like not the Empire, the humans, the High Elves, and the Dwarves. Like they were, their classes were so much more fleshed out and better than the, I think it was called the Destruction, right? The Chaos, the Goblins, and the Greenskins, and the Dark Elves, I think it was. Yeah. But I very much remember fighting stupid fucking lions everywhere that were absolutely unkillable. That is why I know this.
First.
The
battle was actually fairly challenging, mostly because we were outnumbered and my AI reinforcements decided to deploy their army backwards, sprint into the woods, and die.
Excuse
Fortunately,
me?
by this point,
Why?
Ron had so many layers of protective fat that he was functionally invincible, and we managed to eco to victory. Hundreds of thousands had to die, but we have finally completed our grocery list. All that's left now is to cook every possible dish and feed them to Grom. The only issue is, for some reason, Goblin cuisine requires large quantities of scrap metal, and we have spent most of ours on upgrading our...
What? Okay. So cooking requires scrap metal. Is it is the food that caustic that it like eats the cookware that you make it with? Holy crap, okay.
Units. So we need to do
I guess he got his iron supplements.
Luckily,
at least.
raiding enemy territory produces scrap, so I took 3 of my armies and sent them to raid Volkmar the Grim, because he's kind of an uppity asshole.
I would lay down my life if it would rid the world of you and your kind.
I see.
Okay.
Every single turn, we were stealing 125% of a city's entire GDP, resulting in the kind of economic devastation that is only ever theorized in textbooks. Anyway, I've got my scrap, and I spent the next 8 turns feeding Grom the most bizarre food combinations I could come up with, and by the end of it, he was officially bloated and unstoppable.
King Grom, huh?
It's a happy ending for everyone, unless your name is... Vlad von Karstein, Heinrich Kemmler, Dave Durthu, Findal Orion, Count Noctilus, Luther Harkon, Karl Franz, Belgar Ironhammer, Tic-Tac-Toe, the Black Pyramid of Nagash, Morales, Greg the Slaughterer, Throg Altharian, or anyone even remotely French. I want to thank this month's patrons for making these videos possible, and finally, thank you for watching.
Well, that was definitely a thing. I guess you can just buff the shit out of goblins with food.